Penguin Random House Audio presents The Narrowing, A Journey Through Anxiety and the Body. This is the author, Alexandra Shaker, Ph.D. All descriptions of my work with former patients are, for the sake of privacy, amalgams of multiple individuals, and all such descriptions have been fully de-identified. To Houston and Rob. In short, our gentleman became so caught up in reading that he spent his nights reading from dusk till dawn, and his days reading from sunrise to sunset. And so, with too little sleep and too much reading, his brains dried up, causing him to lose his mind. Miguel de Cervantes' Don Quixote, translated by Edith Grossman. Let me return to the OED, where we find that in 16th century English, health is a verb. It might be fun if we could say of our patients, not to mention our loved ones, enemies, even ourselves, that whatever their sufferings and struggle, they are now healthing and carousing deep. Muriel Dimon, Reflections on Cure, or I, Thou, It. Author's Note. Throughout this book, you'll see that I discuss a good deal of research, and in doing so, I've kept certain criteria in mind. I've addressed long-standing principles of anxiety, and I've sought out recent, high-quality research to reflect the current state of the art, work that is opening up new ways of thinking about and of treating anxiety. I've also included some research that is, at the time of this writing, cutting edge, and as such, I've elected to include some findings that have yet to be replicated in the ways that older research has been. In this way, I've tried to situate anxiety in its scientific context while always maintaining an eye toward what is to come. An anxious stance indeed. Nonetheless, in thinking through scientific work, we need to keep in mind two fundamental principles. As in all areas of life, 1, correlation does not imply causation. And 2, things change. Research on anxiety is often correlational, meaning that an association is found between two things, like, say, high levels of anxiety and high levels of impulsivity. So, among people with high levels of anxiety, you tend also to find high levels of impulsivity. Yet these studies cannot demonstrate that one causes the other. We should always have the limitations of research in mind in order to put findings in their proper context, and, most of all, in order to think about what the research may functionally mean in our lives or in the lives of people we care for. And science evolves, as it should, so some of the findings presented here may be read in a different light in the future. Our beliefs about what is true, what is right, what is helpful, they are unstable, again, as they should be. Much as we would like them to be, things often aren't cut and dry. There is inevitably tension between what we do know, what we don't know, and what we are just beginning to understand. One could argue that, in fact, anxiety's greatest wisdom and its most devastating consequences both stem from perceiving the infinite depths of our uncertainty. In the early days of working on this book, I read Maria Popova's Figuring, a gorgeous history of art, science, and love. Popova quotes the great environmental activist and prolific writer Rachel Carson, who suggested that writing should contain, quote, the magic combination of factual knowledge and deeply felt emotional response, unquote. It is exactly this joining that, in my heart of hearts, I have tried, humbly, to bring to my work. I find that it is in this very meeting point that we can feel deeply, and in doing so, come to know ourselves anew. Facts, data, information alone, they are essential, yet they aren't enough. They must exist together with feeling. This book is deeply felt to my core, and I hope that you feel it too. Anxiety and me, anxiety as potential. I am afraid to own a body, I am afraid to own a soul. Profound, precarious property. Possession not optional. Emily Dickinson. Anxiety gnaws at me more days than not. I'm well acquainted with the definitions, the symptom checklists, the medication options, the breathing techniques. I'm a clinical psychologist. I benefit from this knowledge. I see the visible good it can do, yet I'm enraged by its limitations. Despite it all, anxiety has a way of creeping in around the edges, and it remains a fixed presence in my life, lurking, dislocating other experiences, taking up my time. It is often said that research is me-search. Studying anxiety, treating it clinically, and writing about it is, for me, both a personal and a professional endeavor. I've struggled with anxiety for as long as I can remember, and I suspect that it will remain with me always. Anxiety is, in every manifestation of it I've ever seen, as much a carnal problem as it is a cerebral one. I know all too well the sinking, burning feeling that envelops me when anxiety creeps in, and the accompanying self-recrimination for not being able to stave it off from the start. Panic seems to invade every muscle, every vein, every cell. My heart races, my appetite disappears. Then, fear of what could be, probabilities ignored. Worry about making a catastrophic mistake so devastating that the guilt would consume me and recovery would be impossible. A wish to do away with worry completely, alongside an excruciatingly high bar for certainty. An unreachable bar, really. Certainty, for me, would mean achieving a miraculous state of shatterproof confidence that disaster will not befall me or the people I love. Anxiety is in our brains, our blood, our hearts, and our guts. It is undeniably corporeal. It makes itself known in our particular worries and fears, but also in our DNA, in our blood pressure, in our heart rates, our digestion. Even the word anxiety points toward its bodily manifestations. My favorite definition of anxiety, from the Dictionary of Untranslatables, explains, the term anxiety is etymologically related to that of narrowness or tightening. This is among the most experientially accurate descriptions of anxiety that I have encountered. Anxiety is always of the body and of the mind. It brings about a particular narrowness and tightening of thought, yes, but also of the sympathetic nervous system kicking into gear as the brain takes in extra oxygen, the blood vessels constrict, the heart races, and the guts halt. To feel as though there isn't enough air in the room, to be stuck in a circular, claustrophobic, devastating thought, to have the sense that your veins have been pumped full of terror, it's a certain kind of hell. Anxiety is among the most human of experiences. It is built into us from the start and has been, seemingly, forever. For this reason, we find it, over the course of history, explored, taken apart, and revealed, far beyond the bounds of psychology and psychiatry. I suspect that anxiety will always occupy an uneasy position in our minds, being at once a fact of life and a category of diagnoses, as much an existential problem as a behavioral or biological one. Anxiety disorders are defined, yes, and not all of us will experience them as such, but anxiety is also part of being alive. At its core, anxiety shows us that biological and existential questions aren't so far apart, and that they're in constant conversation with each other. Anxiety is medical, and it is mental, and it is so much more. Psychology exists at the crossroads of the arts and the sciences. It stretches between empirical research and human feeling, yet it does so with difficulty. Today, in our attempts to understand the forces that underpin our experiences, we are easily seduced by reductiveness, of seeing the arts and the sciences as opposing forces. Yet psychology refuses to be relegated to the realm of either the biological or discarnate. The body, in all its corporeal ooze and its transcendence, is this way too. Our bodies seem to know things.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?